Hey everybody, it's Jeff here from Geekout Freakout, and I'm joined today by my beautiful wife Christina
Hey.
and my beautiful best friend Spencer.
That's so sweet of you.
No problem, man. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. Going to go over the news, and then of course we were going to be discussing the Wonder Woman movie, which we saw last night. I thought it was pretty impressive. What'd you guys think?
I definitely have a lot to say about it once we get there.
That is for sure. So to start us off with, Need for Speed. There is a new trailer in the Need for Speed franchise called Need for Speed Payback, I think it was.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think?
I definitely, it brings me back to my middle school days of playing Need for Speed Underground for sure. I've never been a huge fan of racing games that don't have a different coat of paint on them. Like I usually like a kart racer or something like that. But Need for Speed was always great with levels of customization, which scratched kind of like the RPG itch that I have a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, no gameplay. It said captured in Frostbite at the end of the trailer. We'll see what it looks like. But I mean, it should be just fun the way that the previous ones were. And that's, what I come to it for. So.
Yeah, and Christina, you're a big fan of the Need for Speed games, right?
Yep. As Spencer said, I really like the customization portion of it, and I like driving through city streets very fast.
Yeah, like the whole street racing thing, I like games like that. Like I have a weird soft spot for them, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like I don't like like a NASCAR racing game or anything like that.
No.
But like Hot Pursuit, I think, was the first Need for Speed.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was kind of like you got like cops chasing after you and illegal street racing and all that shit. And so I've enjoyed them ever since. I like that it looks like the Fast and the Furious series. Like as much as I don't enjoy watching those movies, playing games about them seems like a lot of fun. Like there's something about like dodging out of incoming traffic and like swerving around a car crash and shit like that always makes me feel pretty like cool to be playing a game that allows me to have those moments.
No, absolutely. If you add the interactive aspects to it, then I'll buy a lot of the shit that I don't buy for the movies. Like, I don't know, I don't want to watch it occur, but if I'm in the driver's seat and like that's my objective is to do all this whacked out crazy shit that wouldn't ever actually happen.
Yeah.
I'm into it. I'm sold. Let's see what you have to offer.
Totally agree.
Yeah, most definitely. I'll be looking forward to that. We also have some news about the Punisher Netflix series. They released like the official poster for it. Spencer, what do you think the poster is a picture of?
Oh, well, probably, if I'm just taking a wild shot in the dark here, I don't know, a skull.
Oh, dude, how did you guess it was just a skull?
I don't know, man. There's a lot of imagery that goes along with the Punisher. You think of the Punisher, it could be a skull. It could also be a skull.
Yeah. Or
if they're feeling froggy, they might even go with, pushing out a poster that has a skull on it. So it's nice to see that they're covering all their bases.
The director also confirmed that it has a November release date. Yeah, I was expecting it to be not
Much
until
later.
next year for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, Jessica Jones already got pushed to 2018, and I figured if we're just going, chronologically, that generally would be followed up on before you get to, the Daredevil Season 2 Punisher series is what I think common sense would just state. But
yeah. I guess I was expecting the Defenders to be the last Marvel Netflix thing we'd get this year, but I am happy about it. That was, I think, one of the most surprisingly good depictions of the Punisher that like I've ever seen in any medium.
Yeah.
Like I think that the writing for him in Daredevil Season 2 and the acting was like I like that character more than I like him even in a lot of the comics. Like sometimes he's not portrayed as being as empathetic as he is other times, but like they just fucking hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, and I believe the motivation this time around.
Yeah.
Like I believe his backstory would lead him, logically or illogically, whichever you want to go with, probably a little bit of both, towards these actions. And really the only thing that I'm hoping is that that the whole crew can wrap a series around him without having to rely on him playing off of Daredevil or him playing off of Kingpin. Because those are my favorite parts of Daredevil Season 2 was when the Punisher was interacting with the characters that had already been established.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that who they've got on writing staff can continue that chemistry with the Punisher being the character that's established and having him play off of presumably new characters in the universe.
Yeah, he sometimes gets like a little boring to watch on his own. Like if you're reading just a straight Punisher comic, it's like he's gonna go in and shoot people with his guns. Like there's not always a whole lot of he's gonna keep shooting until he's shot everybody.
Not a whole lot of exposition there.
Yeah. So you're right. He is an interesting like foil to like non-lethal superheroes. But I think if anyone can do it, I mean, I think that actor can carry it.
That actor is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
None of us, we can't remember his name, can we?
Bernthal.
I just always
John Barenthal.
Is that how you pronounce it? I knew how to spell it, but I didn't know how to pronounce it.
I've heard it pronounced Barenthal, but I don't know.
I think it's like a silent A. It's like a Bernthal.
Like a
Bernthal.
Jean Bernthal.
Jean Bernthal.
The Punisher starring Jean Bernthal. Coming in November.
Be looking for that, guys. We also have some more information about Silver and Black. There are rumors that Spider-Woman is going to be added to it, and that it's going to be leading to a series of team-up movies set in Sony's non-Spider-Man Spider-Verse, and that this series is going to be a whole bunch of female characters. So, Spider-Woman, Silver, Sable, Black Cat, Dusk, I think is one. I mean, even with Silver Sable, I feel like they're already scraping the bottom of the barrel in regards to recognizable characters.
Yeah, I mean, I feel I'm fine with it. I'm fine with all that. I just don't trust Sony. Like, I don't trust them working on their own without Kevin Feige to be like the dad who comes in and it's like, all right, fucking settle down, okay? Like, there's a way to do this and there's a way to not. So. I don't have high hopes. I think it's a great idea. I want them to barrel through to where we're getting movies where it's like, okay, there's Spider-Woman's here. We haven't introduced her yet in these other movies, but who fucking cares? Spider-Woman's here. Like, you could just do movies that are similar to just single run, like graphic novels or comic book series that don't necessarily play a larger part in the other movies in that universe coming out around them.
Yeah.
But again, fuck Sony. I don't know. Christina?
I'm really excited for the all-female lead. You don't see that a lot, so I think it'll be cool.
I feel like it's a missed opportunity to have. I don't know why they would go with Spider-Woman. I feel like she's not a super popular character.
Yeah.
But like a super hot shit popular character right now is Spider-Gwen. Yeah, and I don't know why they wouldn't have just went ahead and capitalized on that.
That's true.
I think Spider-Gwen's a lot funner too. Like, I really like that comic, and I can't think of a single time I've ever read a Spider-Woman comic and particularly cared for that character. But
I've got a guess as to why they're going with it. Because it's fucking Sony.
Oh yeah,
that's. I mean, okay. Let's lead with our best foot forward.
Like,
Silver Sable.
Like, there's
what do you think? All right, have a seat. I've got a pitch for you. All right.
There's just one guy that's like, Spider. We can't have Spider-Man. Let's make a new character. Guys, I just had this genius idea. What if we make a Spider-Woman? And everybody, like, they don't even know that that's a character. Like, wait until the movie comes out. It doesn't even resemble the comic Spider-Woman or anything. They're just like, this is our totally original character we came up with to helm these films. We call her Spider-Woman.
Her name is Patricia Parker. After being on this, after doing underground, I don't know, volleyball, she goes out to collect her illicit volleyball winnings. And
her aunt.
And her Aunt Betty. Yeah. Her Aunt Betty is like, with great power comes... you're going to get mansplained to a lot, is really all I have to say.
Don't put up with it. You just tell them to shut the fuck up. But yeah, she's got to fight crime and help take care of her elderly Uncle Mason.
Yeah, and guys, for the record, what we just described is way more like together and concise and a better idea than whatever's going to come from Silver and Black.
Truth.
They also announced that the Sin City series would be rebooted. Is reboot, can it be like past tense like that? I don't know.
Rebooted. Yeah, because
I don't know, rebooted seemed weird to me for some reason.
I think it's rebooted.
They're rebooting it.
Yeah, that's it. They're rebooting it.
There you go. You guys twist around the context.
As a television series. Do you guys care about that at all?
No.
I'd like to pretend that I do, but
Yeah.
not particularly. No, I saw Sin City. I think I was still in high school,
Yeah.
and that was kind of before I embraced the comic book stuff fully. I wasn't an avid reader or anything like that when I was younger, but
was it hard for you to read?
yeah, that's good. That's really good. No, it's just not something I grew up around. I grew up around books, and I knew of like the main line.
You read those too, though.
Yeah, I understand. I'm bringing it back. No, it's just not something that I encountered until honestly I was like in my early 20s was when I started actively seeking out like comic book content and stuff like that, and started to understand who the characters were, and understanding them beyond the face value of Captain America is Mr. Stars and Stripes, and that kind of shit, like the complexities that actually exist within all of them.
There's not any complexity in Sin City.
Yeah, really.
That's my biggest. Did you ever even see any of those movies, Christina?
No, certainly didn't.
Yeah, they're like, I love the art style. The art's really good. And they captured that well in the movie, like the whole like high contrast black and white. Like visually it's a really cool movie. But it's nothing but like a bunch of fucking murder and misogyny. Like it's garbage.
I was the feeling that I get is that I watched it and I'm sitting here trying to recall, and I could not even begin to tell you what it was about.
So there you go, guys.
So.
Sin City, the television series, may be coming sometime. Who cares?
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first, folks. Who cares?
There's also some additional casting for the Dark Universe. This is Universal's Dark Universe, not to be confused with DC's Dark Universe. For more information on the war between the two Dark Universes, please check out a YouTube video that I'll have up by the time this podcast comes out, hopefully, regarding both Dark Universes, explaining why there are two and why there's conflict between them.
What a useless clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah, it really is. I don't want to spoil it here, but guess what? Both of them are stupid. Now, as far as the casting for Universal's monster Dark Universe, they have cast Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein, who is going to be coming out before a Frankenstein movie.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So okay.
Hold on.
We have,
Hold on here.
So we have The Mummy coming out this year, right? The next one in the series is going to be The Bride of Frankenstein.
Without Frankenstein being
maybe Frankenstein's going to be there.
Cool,
I don't know.
Sure, but
it does seem like
if they're rebooting the whole damn thing, like why not do that first?
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Here's my theory.
Okay.
Okay, it's because Jeff, you were speaking to me the other day about how they technically already have a few movies in this universe, but they're not really like, those aren't selling points because those movies did not do well.
Yeah.
Commercially or critically. So they got Tom Cruise is attached to The Mummy. That's their big selling point. Like the promotional material that I have seen isn't even like, this is a monster movie. This is Tom Cruise is in this movie.
A new Mission Impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah.
And so what I'm thinking is, do you remember a few years back that Aaron Eckhart Project I Frankenstein? It was like Frankenstein's still alive.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know where that sits as far as licensing or rights or anything like that goes, but I'm guessing that they're just trying to snatch up as many big name stars as they can and shoehorning projects around them.
Around the stars?
Yeah.
So they got Angelina Jolie and
they're like, well, fuck, what are we going to do? We can't make her like a monster because then it's not Angelina Jolie, but, it's Universal, so, well, maybe not make her an action-packed protagonist who says everything. Like, we are Universal. That's got to be a white dude. But they're like, Bride of Frankenstein, let's do it. And I'm sure that there was one guy in the boardroom who was like, well, maybe we want to have her in a Frankenstein movie. Like, we kind of want to establish these characters, even though, they've been a part of pop culture for like a century now.
Yeah, just about 100 years.
Yeah, just about 100 years. But everybody else was like, no, we're paying her just more money than we even have. So she's going to be Bride of Frankenstein, and that's going to be the next movie that comes out. I swear to God, it's like that bit from The Office where Michael Scott starts a sentence without knowing where he's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing.
Have you ever actually seen The Bride of Frankenstein, the original movie?
It's high school again.
Like the Bride of Frankenstein doesn't even come into the movie until like the very last like 15 minutes. Like that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So maybe if we get lucky, we won't have to see Angelina Jolie for more than a couple of minutes. I don't think she's a very good actress. There's nothing I can think of that I particularly enjoy her in.
No, definitely agree with you there. In Gone in 60 Seconds, she had cool dreads, and but you know,
they have also confirmed that after Bride of Frankenstein, we'll be getting a Wolfman movie. The Wolfman will be played by The Rock, Dwayne Johnson.
That makes sense.
And
It makes too much sense.
and then
will it be? Do you think it'll be comedic actor Dwayne The Rock Johnson? Because
I genuinely think that the movie so if this all goes all the way through to production, I think that'll probably be the best one in the series. I think he's by far the best actor that they have so far. He's
more
better than Tom
wrestlers,
Cruise,
please. Really,
better than Russell Crowe's been in some good movies. Russell Crowe's going to be playing Dr. Jekyll, and they've also announced that we get Johnny Depp.
Oh wow, who cares?
As the Invisible Man,
which is really a best case scenario.
I'm so glad he's gonna be invisible. Bye.
I actually like the Universal monsters though. I fucking loved those as a kid. Like
Yeah.
I would watch all those movies, so I totally plan on. I'm along for this shitty ride. Like
It's gonna be painful.
I don't know. It's not quite where I felt about Power Rangers, where I was like, "This is gonna be bad," and I can't wait. It's just like I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna sit there while it happens to me, and then we're gonna talk about it on our fucking podcast. So.
We also saw the trailer for X-Men Gifted. There was a new trailer released for that. What do you think about another X-Men series, Christina?
I think that if it's done well, it could be good, but I don't have faith that it'll be done well.
And
I just don't.
It's Bryan Singer helmed.
He's directing the pilot episode.
Oh, is it one of those scenarios?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully he hands his baby off to somebody who really is licensed in childcare.
There's a joke there about Bryan Singer and childcare.
I was gonna say, man, they're letting him make a movie about high school aged kids. That's interesting.
I mean, yeah, I'm scared that he's attached to it in any way, shape, and form. But Legion was really good.
Legion was awesome.
But Legion was also on FX.
Yeah.
And Fox and FX are two different things.
I mean, it's not ABC. I mean, well,
Yeah.
True.
I think I might be
Gotham.
I don't remember how you exactly, and that's obviously cause for concern. But I was thinking, like, I don't know. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was insufferable to me. Like, I really never got into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that's unfortunate.
It gets better, for sure.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, you throw Patton Oswalt in anything, and it'll be better. But
he is really entertaining.
No, I know. I'm semi caught up, but eventually I was like, okay, this is one too many porcupine people for me.
The idea behind it, I think, is really cool. Like, I would go and see a movie based on this idea.
Yeah.
I like that we've seen so often in the X-Men, like in the comics and in the movies and everything, where parents find out that their kids are mutants and they call the fucking cops, like in X-Men 2, or like they just send them off to Xavier's school and completely drop out of their lives. Like, I don't know that we've ever seen non-mutant parents find out that their kids are mutants and are then willing to like risk their entire lives to stand by them and protect them and keep them safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting.
Right.
And it lends itself
parents.
well to, climactic moments of the kids having to save the parents and or suffering loss of. I don't think we've ever seen, at least on screen, like a a gifted child, a mutant child, or even a young adult who has to deal with the death or loss of parents who actually meant something to them.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
that's
Like,
true.
I mean, I guess you could talk about Rogue, but that wasn't really fleshed out. Like, she's freaking out about her powers, and then the next moment she's in a truck with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. What you pointed out when we watched the trailer, that like the only real conflict that it shows in the trailer, it's a lot of people shooting lights out of their hands, different
Yep.
colored lights.
Yeah.
A lot of people like looking like they're in intense situations, but it never really shows any sort of conflict except for them running from like 3 little robot spiders.
Yeah, little robot spiders. That seems to be what it's about so far. And they're really, really happy with that scene where one of the gifted children freaks out at a school dance when he's being bullied. Did you notice that they showed us that 3 times
Yeah.
from
yeah,
3
yeah.
different angles?
Yeah, like the he's in like the shower room and the shower's been down and everything.
Yeah, and then out in the gymnasium, in the auditorium or whatever, the lights all blow up and everyone's, oh my god. But they show us that 3 times, so I'm wondering, like, if that's the climactic moment of
The
the
whole
whole thing, and they're like, hey, we're gonna get here, kind of like Iron Fist syndrome, where it's like, yeah, his fist is glowing. His fist is glowing. 12 more episodes, you're gonna see him do some shit. Let me tell you that right now.
Yeah.
We also got confirmation Adam Wingard is going to be directing Godzilla versus King Kong. He's a horror film director.
Right.
He's done The Guest, You're Next, and the most recent Blair Witch movie that was supposedly pretty fucking good. The one where like they didn't tell anybody it was a Blair Witch movie.
Yeah. That was a
Um,
great non-marketing campaign for that.
Yeah, he was set to direct Death Note, the Netflix movie, as well.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get a little taste of his chops at some anime, I guess, before he tackles kaiju battles.
Well, I mean,
How are you, Christina? You're excited for a Godzilla versus King Kong movie, right?
Oh hell yeah. I love Godzilla. So
What about King Kong? You got no soft spot for him at all?
I mean, after that one King Kong movie where I sat in a theater for like 24 hours,
Peter
I'm
Jackson's
kinda,
King Kong.
I'm kind of over King Kong, but I'm
Jack
excited
Black's
for,
in it. Come on, at the
Well,
height of his
no.
popularity.
Christina hates Jack
I
Black.
hate
Really?
him.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Why do you hate him?
Insufferable. Just he's not funny. He's
and
not.
we're fighting King Kong.
God, he's just terrible. But Godzilla, hell yeah.
Godzilla is a super awesome character, obviously.
Between the Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston, for a moment anyway, and Kong Skull Island, I love the way they're handling these properties.
Yeah, so far. I think we're gonna get before this, there's a Godzilla sequel, another just Godzilla movie before
Yeah.
Godzilla
Oh, yeah.
versus King Kong. I think it's gonna be a Destroy All Monsters or Godzilla King of All Monsters,
Okay.
which are like 2 older films in the series. So,
Right.
Mhm.
I wonder. I hope that they don't do like the easy cop out and like have Godzilla tussling with King Kong, and then like King Ghidorah comes in, and
Yeah.
they have to work together, and then they're like best bros. Like, I want Godzilla to fucking kill King Kong,
Yeah.
or for King Kong to kill Godzilla if somehow they can convince me that would ever be the case.
Yeah.
And then for there to be like Godzilla Jr. or Godzuki.
You think anyone at that studio has the balls to go against the conventional
either of
wisdom?
those characters?
Well, first of all, kill either of those characters, but second of all, like, it's an accepted part of filmmaking almost with these kind of big set pieces that if you're going to have the two, like even in Batman versus Superman is what I'm reminded most of. The last fucking 15 minutes of that movie is when they introduce the common enemy.
Yeah.
Like they're even if it's not set up at all, they're going to introduce something to at least make them at the end of the movie. There's got to be a resolution in their minds.
I want it to be Mothra.
I would love for them to pull a Rogue One. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't expect Disney to make the decision to kill off the entire cast of the movie. And maybe they'll do that, but I doubt it. I think it'll be good, though.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, just after how good Godzilla, that movie, the one with Bryan Cranston, like, I could not have been any happier with that movie. I was expecting it to be way worse, and I was expecting it to be like too realistic, and I thought that it was all the way through.
Yeah.
But just for the moment whenever he used the fucking atomic breath for the first time,
Oh man.
very rarely have I been in the theater watching a movie and felt like that level of excitement and elation.
Weren't you screaming?
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the camera pans around and there's all the fucking CGI smoke everywhere, and then you see his like the fins on his tail. They like in the old movies, they glow blue. They started to glow blue, and like I was going into it expecting like the 2000 whatever Godzilla movie with Matthew Broderick. If he even breathes fire, it's gonna be him like breathing fire. It's not gonna be atomic breath, whatever the hell that is.
They're gonna get us the soundbite of his roar with
But no, the fucking fin started glowing blue, and I screamed, and the whole rest of that movie I was just screaming.
I mean, it's great, and they also made it about Godzilla. Is how I
kinda.
felt.
It's like he's a. I mean, I guess that's how it's like he's a natural disaster that's occurring. Well, even though the movie's following a bunch of different characters that it jumps around, they're always there or within the distance of these events, and I kind of liked that. It's like almost like a documentary style thing, even though it wasn't filmed like a documentary. Like I really enjoyed that.
I feel like that's how a lot of the old ones were, though.
Yes, they absolutely were.
They hit it right on the head.
Yeah, some people complained about that aspect, of like that we spent too much time with the humans.
Watchable.
And not enough time with the monsters.
I mean,
you see,
that's totally how it used to be.
Yes,
you're
absolutely correct.
That's exactly what I wanted.
It would constantly cut to like humans in the Situation Room on Earth discussing military tactics, and then you get like a minute of monsters, and then it would cut to those weird space people, that had like the black bar makeup over their eyes.
Yeah,
best part of Godzilla. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I was juxtaposing it against Transformers. I think Transformers did the fucking. It's a movie about Transformers, but it's really about Shia LaBeouf and Mark Wahlberg kind of thing. Yeah. I felt like that's the incorrect way to do it, and the Godzilla movie was the correct way to do it.
Well, the Transformers can talk and are capable of having like character arcs. You know what I mean? Godzilla, like I
don't know, man. I'm just an asshole. Fuck the Transformers movies. God damn it.
We also got this week Nintendo confirming a few things and then refusing to answer a lot more things about their online services for the Switch.
Let me just tell you how many opinions I have about this.
So he has so many.
So if I have it straight, it's going to be $20 a year for their online services, like Xbox Live for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah, it's going to get you like online play, voice chat through the phone app with a dongle. Did you see the dongle?
I haven't seen the dongle.
Okay, so here's how the voice chat works. You know, they said that you'll use it with your phone, right?
Yes.
So you download an app on your phone. Okay.
Okay.
You're paying the $20.
Yep.
Okay. Then you download an app on your phone.
You grab your buddy's friend code.
Yep.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No. I was gonna say. I thought you were just making that as a joke. I am
making that as a joke, but you scared the shit out of me.
I think that they do have searchable searchable usernames now.
Okay.
Oh,
but you download the app on your phone. There's a device that has two inputs on one end and one input on the other end. So you run a cord from your phone to this device. And then you run another cord from the device to the top of your Nintendo Switch. Okay.
Okay.
And then another cord comes out the top of this dongle and plugs into a headset.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, now I have a bit more respect because they're allowing me to feel like a cyborg.
So you're going to have cables tethering everything everywhere. The cables are short. They're like it's not going to be,
of course they are,
long enough to be comfortable. Then also, if you have to have it plugged in to the Switch, presumably that means you can't use this dongle while the Switch is docked.
Yeah,
like
one can only assume.
I mean, maybe not. Maybe like you can plug it into like a new controller that you'll have to buy to use the dongle.
But
I don't know.
But why? Okay, so why?
Because they're stupid. I mean, is the short of it. But the other big news is that they announced the catalog of games that you'll get. So like at the beginning, when they announced everything, when they announced everything, they said that you would get access to one game. Along, just by paying the $20 a year, you get access to one game to play as much as you want. but that game would be cycled out every month. So it would be like Xbox does with games with gold if they only did one game instead of two, and if they didn't allow you to download those games and own them forever.
That is.
Right?
God, I just.
That's
But-
nowhere
like,
near
but-
the worst
Pull your
part of
head
this.
But hold
either.
out of
on,
your
hold on.
asses.
So everybody said, like, that's the dumbest fucking idea I've ever heard. Why are you doing this? So then they announced just this week, like, okay, it's going to give you access to a bunch of games, and you'll always have access to them. And by bunch of games, they only confirmed 3 games so far. And they're just NES games.
If one of them's Balloon Boy, I'm gonna riot.
Balloon Fight.
Balloon Fight. Yeah, excuse me.
I think one of them it probably is.
I
I don't remember what
mixed-
games they were, but anyways, so NES games, people are assuming that it's going to be a wider catalog than that. They asked about if Super Nintendo games would be in it, and they said we have nothing to confirm at this time. Then they were
Which
asked,
means that was the first time anyone ever suggested that to
Yeah.
them in
And
the
then
building.
They were asked about, well, what does this have to do with like the virtual console? Are you guys still going to have the virtual console? They said we have nothing to announce at this time,
So
which is their go-to
no.
response. It doesn't mean no. It just means that like maybe they know that if they're revealing, I don't know, Nintendo gives that response all the time for all kinds of questions that they're asked.
Right, but how many times has it been we're actually working on this? Like when we get the eventual answer,
It's usually not, more often than not, it's not the answer we were hoping
I would
for.
say 75% of the time, it is not the answer that we're hoping for. So it tends to come off as just, you can take that at no or with a mountain of salt.
So presumably they could easily implement a system in which you pay a yearly or monthly fee and get access to every fucking NES game they've ever ported to Virtual Console, because I cannot imagine that from a software perspective, it's very difficult for them to it would be difficult for them to transfer those things to the Switch. There's no way that it's like so far different from the Wii and the Wii U that it would be that much of a challenge. They've also done the Super Nintendo games, the N64 games. I'm just curious if you could pay a monthly fee, so we'll break it down on a monthly point, to have access to like every old game Nintendo's ever had, and you always have access to it as long as you're paying that fee, like a real Netflix for Nintendo games. Like, what would you be willing to pay, Christina?
I mean, probably about 50 a year.
I would go Amazon Prime levels. I would pay $100 a year for that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's fair.
I would
I
absolutely
just-
pay.
I don't know. There wouldn't be a whole lot that I would actually want to play on that list, probably. That's my problem.
There's the convenience factor of it.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, I don't know how much
I would.
I would
I mean,
even use that.
Sometimes I get the feeling like shit, man. I don't currently own Link to the Past on anything, but I just feel like playing Link to the Past today. Like if I had the capacity to do so within an hour of having that thought, that's a huge thing for me. It's well, I mean, we've made the Netflix comparison a number of times, which is the obvious one to make. But that's how
I would pay. I would pay $20 a month.
You would pay
every
$20 a month
easily.
Yeah.
Like I pirated a fucking ROM emulator like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the time. I'm like, oh, I want to play this game. I can play it. I can play it right now. It'll take me 2 seconds to get this game going and playing it on my computer.
Yeah.
Like,
then why would you?
and they stand to because I would be okay with paying to support Nintendo's good decisions. You know what I mean?
All right.
Why do I
That's fair.
torrent movies and TV shows almost not at all these days? Because between Hulu and Netflix and
That's fair.
Amazon
That's
Video,
fair.
things like that, it's the age-old thing. Like, I don't pirate as much anymore because they've made it easier for me to just pay for it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't know if they'll ever get it, but I am interested to hear more information about it. Like I still want the Switch to be really good. I think the hardware is still really good. I just wish that they would get like the software, some games and shit like that really grasp me and interest me. I don't give a shit about ARMS,
Right.
and I don't like Talking Hat Mario.
Right.
Obviously Breath of the Wild is fucking amazing. We need more Breath of the Wild and more smart fucking decisions
Yeah,
from them.
absolutely. But I just, it feels more and more like Breath of the Wild. It happens to be a fluke.
Yeah.
Like, it's unfortunate, and I mentioned to you when we both had completed the game and we were talking about the Switch and its presumed health over the next couple of years of its cycle, And I'm honestly, Nintendo has been making so many missteps, in my opinion, and they're not coming out with content. They pulled the NES Classic off the shelves. They're just now deciding that they need to make more Switches because for some reason someone's buying them.
Yeah.
And like, I think Breath of the Wild might be the last like console Zelda game that we get. I mean, how long does it take for them to lose money on self-inflicted wounds before they're just like, okay, well, Super Mario Run's making us a fuck ton of money, so we're going. We're gonna make mobile games, and we just can't figure it out. Like, they have the ability to bring themselves back on top with so many ideas that its fan base is having.
Right.
But they don't get it, man. I don't know. Rest in peace, Iwata.
We also have some Overwatch information. There is a new map, the Moonbase map, coming out. It's on the public test realm right now. I think it comes out. I don't think they confirmed when it comes out, but usually stuff is on the public test servers for
like a week or two.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
as long as there's no issues with it.
Right,
if they run into like glitches and shit, then it'll take longer.
I like the idea of low gravity areas. Adding.
I don't think it has low gravity.
I thought it was confirmed that it did.
Oh, I don't know. I
apologize. That
I
might be bad information that a Reddit headline gave me. Sorry, folks.
It's okay. I'm gonna look it up. While I look it up to confirm, Christina, tell them about the new character.
So it's kind of speculation right now, but it seems like they're hinting at another character. They've just shown like little emails from like researchers that were working on like Winston, and hinting at another character that is probably some kind of primate, like Winston, you know.
So he's like part of like the same test or whatever they were doing on the moon. Okay.
Assumably a smaller version, so like maybe a chimpanzee or smaller monkey. I don't know.
Oh, because because like escapes through the vents and shit, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you are totally right, Spencer. I apologize. I had not read that. That gets me way more excited for it.
Yeah, I can't think of another map that has such a blatant change to gameplay. Like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's gonna change. That's gonna have different effects on every single character. I'm imagining Roadhog hooking somebody up into the air with him, possibly being able to get up to like Farah's.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for Farah's stuff in a low gravity setting because I love Farah.
Yeah, I think it's.
It reminds me. I always loved playing like the Counter-Strike, like low gravity maps and shit.
Oh,
like
sure.
That. Like you can do if I pick this map and play as Widowmaker, it's gonna be like a low gravity hook shot, Scouts knives, fucking map all over again. So that's really cool. I'm glad that that you need that info. They also, some information has leaked about a potential Life is Strange prequel, which is in addition to the sequel that the developers have already confirmed that they're working on. You super loved that game, right, Christina?
I did really like it a lot. Yeah, I don't think I ever finished it. I think I kind of got bored with it, but
really?
it was pretty good. Yeah.
What was boring about it?
I think someone died, and I got real upset with it, honestly.
Oh no,
and
I
was
remember.
like,
You didn't play it much. Like that girl jumps off the roof of the school.
I
right?
couldn't save her.
Yeah, you kept going back in an attempt to.
And I couldn't do it because I guess I'm not soft.
I think that's a hallmark to the writing, honestly.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for a death in a video game to
make you
affect
refuse
like
to be able to play it.
Well, yeah, because it's like I don't want to. I remember that in a few books that I've read, or like the obvious comparison is like Eris in Final Fantasy VII. That's how I felt as a kid. I was like, I don't want to continue on in this world right now. If this person dies like that, or if this person's not in it, like that affects me so much that I don't know if I can continue forward right now. And I think that both a prequel and a sequel are more than welcome. I want more games like that. The narrative was great. The mechanics were unique.
Yeah,
I agree.
The prequel, what's came out about the prequel seems that it's like just going to be all about Max and Chloe's relationship, like prior to them getting back together and stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So I
would totally play that.
Cool. Yeah, so maybe we'll get some more information about that at E3. We also got a leaked roster for Marvel vs. Capcom. and pretty much everyone is agreeing that it is incredibly underwhelming.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to disagree with much of that.
Hey, we got Nemesis though.
So
My
on
favorite.
the Capcom side of things, we have Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah,
Chris from
Resident Evil.
yeah,
Yep.
dude, the word Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Just because Chris Redfield.
I don't know. I guess that's literally all that came to my mind. I was
Chris
like, I know
from
that's
the
not
Red Hot
answer.
Chili Peppers.
We also have Chun-Li, Dante, Firebrand, Monster Hunter, just a generic Monster Hunter.
Well, I mean, are there no named Monster Hunter?
I've never played one of
like
those games.
NPCs. I've played one on Wii U, and it was fine.
There's Nemesis, Morgan, Ryu, Spencer, Strider for Marvel, and this is what I care about more.
Oh, sure.
Obviously X is in there for Capcom as well. I'm really excited for X. That's like universally like, holy shit, we've been wanting X for a really long time.
Yeah.
But it sucks
Zero
that
was a
there's-
nice appetizer, but
Yeah. But it sucks that I want Zero and X, but
Sure.
whatever.
what I want is a fighting game where I can play as like just only characters from Mega Man X. Like that's really what I would get. But
You gonna pick a Boomer Kuwanger every time?
oh yeah, absolutely.
On the Marvel end of things, we have Ant-Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, Gamora, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Nova, Rocket, and Groot as one character. Spider-Man, Thanos, Thor, and Ultron.
So elephant in the room. These are all characters that we're seeing in the cinematic universe.
They sure are. With
But-
the exception of
wait.
Nova.
But we have seen
The Nova
members
Corps.
of the Nova Corps.
Yes.
So people are at least familiar. Hey, he's got the 3 lights on his chest. I saw that in Guardians 1.
My oculi is out. That scene's one of the funniest fucking scenes. He just like taps it to turn it back on. But yeah, it definitely looks like they are just focusing on the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Which is what the House of Mouse was going to want to do to begin with. I don't know. I'm torn because first of all, I'm super happy about the inclusion of Captain Marvel. I love that. And Doctor Strange, obviously classic. But what I'm wondering now is like, do even the developers bring that back a little bit? Because
Like for Doctor Strange specifically?
well, Doctor Strange was the example I was going to use because, you know, the movie is still fairly fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
And while it was a crazy, trippy, fucked up movie, you know, we never got the Sorcerer Supreme bolts of Balthak and things like that.
Right. A lot of his signature spells he does not use in that movie. Presumably hasn't learned them yet.
So is this going to be
Instead of how he was in the previous games, like
is this
he's
going to
just
be
gonna have fucking
Capcom's
shields and whips.
interpretation of Doctor Strange from the comics, or is this going to be the Marvel Cinematic? Is this going to be Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, and we're just going to get some runes that get thrown around and stuff like that? Like, I'm thinking about really any of the other characters in that manner as well. Like,
I think the lack of Wolverine is one of the worst parts about the roster.
not
Like,
even any other possible X-Men, just Wolverine in general. He's been in every one, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's such like an anchor of the Marvel universe.
Sure.
In my opinion, when it comes to like the Avengers and the comics and everything, I mean, he's easily one of the most recognizable Marvel characters in general. And to not have, I mean, there's no X-Men at all. Like,
Right. Which I believe might be a
Sure, yeah.
a symptom of the circumstance.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
MVC3 came out far before the real divide there. I think
Yeah.
that came out before Disney bought everything.
I don't know if it did or not. I don't really remember how long ago that game came out. I guess it was on Xbox 360,
Mhm.
so it's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's weird. I think it'll be weird if they design the characters, and from some of the stuff it's seen, it looks like they are designed to resemble what they look like in the movie. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like Capcom versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Not really Capcom versus Marvel at all.
And the thing about that is that what I love the most about these games is it's so fucking over the top.
yeah.
Like they pull out all the stops. I mean, I'm reminded of oh my god. And I can't think of the name. Ace.
Oh, Ace Wainwright? Is that
Yes,
his attorney at law?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I know it's Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright. Why was I thinking Ace? In any case,
Attorney is the name
Ace
of the game series.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a little convoluted, those titles. So,
It's okay.
but that was just...
Neither of us has ever played one of those games, right? Like,
I tapped around on my little cousins once. It was fun. I objected to many things.
But no, you're right. Like, they have some super unconventional characters with weird gameplay mechanics. And it does seem like maybe this game's going to be playing it a lot safer, and as a result, will be a lot more fucking boring.
Yeah.
So maybe.
That looks like where it's going. I think Capcom's going to do the best with what they got as far as designing it, but I think they might.
Maybe y'all just have to stick with Injustice 2 for now.
For now, and until Injustice 3 comes out, as far as I'm concerned.
I see that every single Avenger is on there, except for Black Widow. Where is she? Where is she? She's not there.
Point.
She is in all of the Avengers movies, but where is she?
They already have 2 women on the roster. I mean, what else are they going to do?
Yeah,
But-
They've got their quota.
they have Gamora and Captain Marvel.
Gamora's
That's
movies are
fine.
making more money.
They also have Morgan and Chun-Li. There's 4 female characters in the game total.
Christina, what do you want exactly?
I want fucking Black Widow.
There are
Man,
4
like,
women
they've got-
already.
they have all of the Avengers there, except for her.
You know why Black Widow's not there?
Why?
Because she's probably off being too sad about how she can't have babies. Do you remember that being the plot point of Age of Ultron?
Yeah, and that's
poor-
a stupid fucking plot point.
Yeah. Well,
That's bullshit.
I mean, also they never even addressed how hard it is to be Asian.
Okay. I had to think for a second. I was like, what the? No, you're right.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, it's definitely not very diverse. There's no people of any color aside from Gamora being green.
Yeah, if we haven't even seen Captain Marvel, but they're trying to get us amped up for the Captain Marvel movie, why not put Black Panther in the fucking game?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would love to play as Black Panther. He was one of the most badass parts of Civil War. Like,
That is true.
I really enjoyed what they did with both the character, his fighting style, his action sequences were all very
His fighting
satisfying.
style could easily take over for the lack of Wolverine too. Like,
Yeah.
very similar. He can go Black Panther Barrage instead of Berserker Barrage.
Vibranium versus adamantium. I mean, we're just mixing up our EMs at this point.
All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of the podcast. We are going to discuss Wonder Woman. We both saw it last night. Going to go over what we thought of it and sort of where. Why are you laughing at me?
There are
Both.
3 of us here.
There are 3 people here.
How,
Oh,
who'd
shit,
you
okay.
forget about? Your wife or your bro?
Shut up.
His wife.
This is
He
getting
forgot
edited
about
out.
me.
Oh, that's no fun. Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the podcast. We're about to get into it. We just saw Wonder Woman last night, and I know we all have a lot of things to say about it. We're going to discuss what we each thought about it, where we think its place within the DC universe is as far as quality, and if they're going to move in this direction moving forward. I certainly hope they do. Jeff, what were your initial impressions, like just coming out of the movie? I know you and I already had a couple things that we kind of disagreed on.
Without getting into spoilers, we'll do some spoiler-free stuff first. I thought that it was on a scale of bad to great. It was pretty good.
I love that scale.
You have bad, fine, pretty good, and great. I just thought it was pretty good. I was hoping for a great movie.
Okay.
So, like, to compare it to Marvel movies, I think that it's probably better than the okay Marvel movies like Doctor Strange or,
Something like Ant-Man.
yeah, definitely better than those. But it wasn't like a Winter Soldier or a Civil War by any means.
Yeah.
What did you think of it, Christina?
I thought it was really, really good. Verging on the great. Just seeing a female superhero kick ass.
The female superhero, really.
Yeah. It really got me. I thought it was great.
I was kind of hooked from the first act, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty action packed from the get go. They do a really good job, I thought, of setting up Wonder Woman Diana as a character, someone who you can still relate to, on a number of different levels, like always seeking adventure, but also very kind and not even really having a thought because of her upbringing about the capability of hatred for hatred's sake or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm usually a huge fan of fish out of water humor, but I think we got a lot of fish out of water drama, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
When she comes into the quote unquote real world, so to speak, and she sees the things that exist, such as, the whole thing revolves around her misunderstanding of war and misunderstanding of the hearts of men, and I mean mankind, not just the gender, and it really makes for a lot of heartfelt moments where you can completely tell, and I chalk a lot of this up to Gal Gadot's brilliant performance, is what I thought.
Yes, she does
as Diana
a
Prince.
fantastic job.
Where you can tell that her heart is breaking for things that we would consider to be commonplace. Things that we consider to be, well, these are the casualties of war. This is the cost of doing business, so to speak. There's going to be pain and there's going to be suffering. And especially in the first act and well into the second act, you see her interact with people coming back from the war who are clearly wounded. And she wants to stop for every single one of them and just marvel at it. Or, the opposite end of
she wants
that.
to like stop and help them.
Excuse me, not marvel at it. Yeah, absolutely. That was the wrong wording. She wants to stop and assist in any way that she can every single pocket of suffering that she sees.
That's a big cornerstone of the character. Is that sort of whereas Superman feels like it's his duty to save the world, she always feels like it's her duty to enable the world to save itself.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what her main driving mission oftentimes is that no matter how bad things get, she always has the highest hopes for mankind, higher than I think any of the other superheroes, certainly any of the other like Justice League members or anything like that. It's cool that they really touched on that a whole lot. I think that Chris Pine's performance was also really good.
I was surprised, honestly. I didn't think I'd give a shit.
Yeah. I like him well enough as like Captain Kirk, and then there's not anything else that I can think of.
Yeah.
And I expected him to be more like he is as Captain Kirk, like a cocky, arrogant, showboaty kind of guy.
Yeah, I figured it was a typecast kind of a scenario.
Yeah, and I'm actually really, really happy that like he is so often, he's the damsel in distress more often than not. He would be pretty ineffectual without her throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, and they even touch on that with there's a scene in an alleyway where she just whoops the shit out of 6 or 7 guys, all of them armed.
Yeah.
And at the very end, he gets a punch in on the very last guy after she's done cleaning him up, and even he recoils. He's like, "Fuck my hand!" Like they make sure to touch on it every chance that they get that she is the threat. He is not.
Yeah.
He's and it felt like a decent amount of fan service there, but it also felt very valid. And I feel like that's how that would play out.
Right.
He would still, even in the presence of this, Amazon warrior who is such a higher level above anything that mankind has ever seen, he would still feel the need to be like, okay, well, I'm a man, I'm gonna try to impress her, something like that.
It's the 1910s mentality for sure. He's a chivalrous guy, I suppose. I really liked the tone of it as well. Like compared to the other DC movies, Christina, did you think that the tone was like markedly different?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was depressing, but it wasn't so depressing that I wanted to stop watching it.
It didn't even rain until the end of the movie.
Right. Yeah, wow. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the DC movies as of yet have been just too dark and too gritty, and there wasn't enough like, oh haha moments.
Yeah,
there was a lot of levity in Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It made it much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, especially, I feel like the DC characters lend themselves more to being humorous characters for the most part, and for there to be some levity. you know, in some like bright colors as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we got quite a bit of that in the movie, and I was really, really pleased about those aspects of it. I think that overall, I do think that it's by far the best film in the DC universe, you know, as far as they've gotten into it yet, at least.
Yeah, I mean, with Batman versus Superman, I felt like that was a good movie, but perhaps they were still cutting their teeth on what they wanted to do. And I feel like they've gotten a lot closer to that with Wonder Woman, because it felt like the story was written around the character itself. And with Batman versus Superman, part of the time, it was like, okay, we got Batman in here, we got Superman in here, we got to have Lex Luthor in there. So this is the thing that we're doing. All these guys are in here, and that's what makes it Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
But with Wonder Woman, it was, no, the character of Diana Prince is what makes this movie.
Yeah.
Right.
And they wrote it around her. What did you think of their portrayal of Themyscira?
I mean, I thought it was pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
I didn't, maybe I'm not worldly enough to understand it, but
Worldly.
I felt that their accents were a little strange.
So did I.
Like, I was expecting them, I guess, to have Greek accents, and they didn't seem like Greek accents to me. They all were kind of like Eastern
They
European.
sounded like Nords.
Is that what you got from
yeah,
it?
it was like, would you like to choop some wood? Like that kind of a scenario. But that wasn't so much it for me that the accents themselves felt out of place. I felt like none of the main actresses, like the three main actresses who played Diana, her aunt, played by Robin Wright, which for the time that she's in the movie, I thought she did a very good job.
Yeah, she was really good.
Oh yeah.
And the actress who plays her mother, I felt like the three of them never got together and really nailed down what accents the three of them were going to do.
That's the other thing.
All of it was
They were
like kind of different.
They were similar, but noticeably different to where it was like maybe they're from Eastern European villages that are maybe 100 miles apart. Like it's pretty
Right.
similar, but there's definitely some local dialects that change.
Yeah, I thought it looked good. I thought the special effects during the portions on Themyscira were like really, really impressive. It looks like it does in the comics. It's like super bright and colorful, and
Yeah.
I mean, like it gets called Paradise Island. They refer to it that in the movie as well, and it definitely looks to be a true paradise worthy of a bunch of, you know, demigods.
Mm-hmm. The action sequences start pretty much immediately. They give you a little bit of taste of what they're going to do with large scale battles because all of the Amazonian women are training.
Oh my
when you
God,
first
yeah.
come in, Diana's a little girl, and you see her walking through Themyscira, and that's how they introduce us to this area. Is Diana as a girl running through everything, and it's like so you see these sweeping shots of the beautiful island, and it kind of culminates in her coming upon the women training.
Yeah.
And there's so much just in that light moment of them training that actually a lot of fight choreography went into. And from that moment, I was excited to see an actual battle with them.
Yeah.
And by the time we get to it, it did not disappoint.
That the very first battle sequence, well, I guess, but before we get into that, is there anything else like spoiler free in general, that you guys have to comment on about it?
I'm always been a stickler for comic book movies that are afraid to do the costumes. And there was a noticeable change in Wonder Woman's outfit from Batman vs. Superman to Wonder Woman. The red and the blue were noticeably brighter, in my opinion.
In some scenes.
Yeah,
it's
well,
kinda,
maybe
that's specifically one thing I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
But more in the spoiler section. But I see what you're saying. You definitely get some moments where it's much more her traditional brighter costume for sure.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that they don't shy away from
Right.
that, because you're right, it always sucks when they fuck up a costume in a movie like that, or they're like, oh, that's ridiculous, we can't have someone wear something that looks like that, we're gonna make it look like fucking brown dirt.
Exactly. Or in the case of Doctor Strange, like, okay, they got the costume down, but they're afraid for him to say any of the names of the spells. Like,
Yeah.
like
I don't know if they got the costume. They were a little afraid to have the collar go as high as it should have gone.
okay, yeah.
They were
but
still
they did
pretty
have the
ballsy.
sentient flying cape.
They were still
like-
pretty ballsy with the height of the collar, but I was still not satisfied.
I didn't
there.
think they were going to make the cape sentient. When I saw that was actually the case, I was like, okay, well, I'm sold on this.
Yeah.
You know, the collar could have been higher.
Just a little bit.
Moving on
So-
into spoiler territory.
Well, so if you don't want to get spoiled, stop listening now. because we're gonna go ahead and spoil the fuck out of this movie, but it doesn't make any sense because you should have already seen it because we're already past the opening weekend and it's a really good movie. So if you're listening to this right now and you haven't seen it yet, stop and go immediately see it. Like if you're at work, just go ahead and tell your boss that you gotta go. You're not feeling so great. Go to the movie house and
yeah, it's Flag Day. Come on.
And give this a watch for sure. It's definitely worth your money and worth your time.
Oh yeah.
So now, spoiler warning. To immediately get to what you were talking about, there's halfway through the movie, there's a sequence in which she climbs up over the trenches to cross no man's land.
Yeah, it was in the trailer.
Yeah, and her costume in that scene is super bright.
Yeah,
and it is not that bright again in any other scene in the movie.
I'm not convinced that it's not that. I think obviously they wanted to highlight that for that point in time, but it didn't. But in parts of Batman versus Superman, it looked bronze. Like it just looked like the whole thing was brown.
Yeah.
And while it does get a little bit darker, I think that might be just the way that they. I think that might be a cinematography decision with everything around it. Like, because most of the time after that, when you see her in the outfit, she's in the middle of some shit.
Right.
And, you know,
she's
there's
in the middle of. I mean, I would have expected there from a filmmaking standpoint, that's color correction is what it's called whenever they adjust hues and saturation levels. And, you know, you'll do that across the board to make sure a movie has a certain look. Like, that's why the Matrix movies are everything's green. Like, they color corrected it to make everything look green.
Certainly.
And they apply that to the special effects as well to make them blend with the live action sequences. So there was a conscious decision to make it much more saturated in that sequence. And I felt like it was a little bit out of place in that sequence when it maybe should have been brighter in others, because they're at Velt, which is the actual, like, that battle of World War I is like the worst, bloodiest battle of World War I.
Yeah.
That's like thousands of people literally just drowning in mud and blood for years. And then she crosses up, and it's cool that it makes her seem like awesome and heroic, but the fact that it got less saturated throughout, that I don't know, it stood out to me the whole movie. Like, by the time I walked out of it, I just remember thinking it's weird that her costume kind of seems like it changes colors for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that. I was just excited that initially they decided to take the plunge, like, because throughout, even when it did get a bit dingier, again, like, you could still tell that's red, that's gold, that's blue.
Yeah,
these aren't variations of gold or bronze.
Yeah.
One thing that impressed me right out of the gate was the battle between the Amazons and the Germans who end up coming through that barrier to Themyscira. I'm reminded specifically of, you get a little bit of a glimpse of realization that, of course, they don't know what gunpowder is. Of course, they don't know what guns are. So they're charging into this battle having no idea. But when they see their sisters fall,
they figure it out.
Yes.
And that's really cool. Yeah.
They realize, okay, this is instantaneous, and we're not going to see this coming the way that we could see an arrow coming, even slightly. So, and it's obviously very precise. So they change their tactics as they're going.
Yes.
And little attention to detail like that is just fantastic.
It was badass.
They also hype up Diana's aunt, the sister of the Queen of the Amazons, as their greatest warrior and their greatest fighter. And so many times it's underwhelming when you actually get to see that individual fight. Game of Thrones does that a lot, where they'll hype up a knight or hype up a warrior or a mercenary of some kind, and then you actually see them fight, and it's like, well, fucking that was okay, I guess.
No Jon Snow. I don't know anything about it. I'm trying to
they don't know anything about Game of Thrones. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Jon Snow's the greatest warrior in all of the land of
snow.
Where's this going? I want to hear
Westeros.
Hey!
I knew it. I had it.
Congratulations,
Isn't
man.
he though? Right? Like, he's like the best?
Well, no, not
Is he the guy that fights?
specifically.
There's like I've seen pictures of all these horses and all the king's horses and all the king's men, and they're charging at like one guy, and he just has one sword. Is that Jon Snow?
That's him. That's Jon Snow. That's the White Wolf, man.
And he kills all those people, right?
Well, not single-handedly, but those people do end up
that's
dying.
Cool. Do the dragons come in and help him?
Are we gonna
or wolves? No. Jon Snow has control over wolves.
Well, in the books, it's
winter wolves.
Well,
Dire wolves.
So
right? Is that they're dire wolves, right?
So in Wonder Woman,
No,
they are dire wolves.
The beach battle, the very first action sequence really in the movie, I thought was the best action sequence in the movie.
Me too.
That was my favorite
I
one.
agree.
You do too?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can chalk that up to being the most fantastical and just one that I haven't seen before is what it felt like. Because you don't see a bunch of people on horseback with swords, shields, and arrows
Killing
fighting
people.
Germans who are storming their beach. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if to chalk it up to that or just
I'm
the...
pretty sure that there's a sequence like that in Sucker Punch. I've never actually watched Sucker Punch,
But of course.
but I am like 95% certain that a whole bunch of ladies with swords fight some Germans at some point. And the Germans may be like demons. They're like demon Nazis.
I gotta watch Sucker Punch, man. Holy shit.
Afterwards, I'm gonna look this up, and I think we're all gonna be surprised at how decently accurate that is. But what did you take away from that sequence, babe?
Man, oh my gosh, dude, whenever there's this one specific like point in that battle where you see one of the Amazons on a horse and that horse gets shot and it falls and she just immediately jumps off that damn horse, does a flip, shoots some bitches and fucking lands on her feet, and I was like, oh my god. Yes.
Yeah.
I was convinced that every single one of those women was a fucking war machine.
Yeah.
Like, they did a very good job of convincing me that not a single one of them is to be fucked with.
Yes.
Like, it's just all they know is to charge forth and fight. And there was a sense of camaraderie there as well. They always seemed to be, like, looking around not only at the battlefield itself, but at their fellow warriors.
Yeah. I really hope... I was so impressed with the depiction of the Amazons that I hope that they're in the further movies.
Yeah.
Because that, in the comics, that is sometimes, like, if there's, like, a full-on fucking otherworldly or other dimensional invasion,
Yeah.
a common plot point will be like, well, we gotta convince Aquaman to get not just Aquaman, but, like, the rest of Atlantis, because they're a bunch of badass warriors.
Yeah.
Like, to help us on the surface, and then we gotta get the Amazons from Themyscira to help as well, otherwise we stand no chance. Like,
Okay.
So I hope that we get to see them, like, as a whole unit, fucking save the day at some point in the near future in one of these DC movies, because they deserve more fucking screen time for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Her aunt doing the whole jumping off the shield with the 3 arrows.
Oh
like,
my
Oh my
God.
god! And yeah, no, that was incredible.
Yeah.
The choreography was great. I was incredibly impressed. But moving on to the rest of it, I think they set themselves up to be just slightly underwhelming
Yes.
for the rest of the movie.
Kinda, yeah.
Well, there's even a
yeah.
line that Diana Prince gives upon reaching London.
Yeah.
Where she looks around after she wakes up and she says, this is London, this is where we're going, and Chris Pine's character says, yes, it is, and she just looks around and goes, it's hideous.
Yeah.
And I kind of related to that for a second,
Yeah.
because at that point in the movie, you go straight from action. She's grabbing a bunch of artifacts, she's suiting up in the outfit, she's getting ready
Which
to
immediately
leave.
gets covered up and you don't see again for like another half an hour.
Yeah, I get that they really wanted that big reveal, though, so I
Yeah.
didn't mind it so much. The reveal was satisfying, even though I already knew it was coming in the trailer. But I related to that because the pacing of the movie is such that you slow to almost a complete stop once you leave Themyscira for a little bit, because it's like, all right, so we got some new people to introduce. We've got some plot points to establish. We got to do all this in a set amount of time because we're going to be moving on fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And the pacing felt just a bit off there for me. It felt like at various times I was either not moving fast enough or moving way too fast.
I disagree. I thought that it was okay all the way up until after the battle at Velt, like after they completely take the town and have their little moment after that battle.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think the pacing started to go off the rails, like the dinner gala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shit like that. I feel like those sequences drug. I like that we got like the opening badass action sequence, then one-on-one time with Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor.
Yeah.
As they're on the boat, and then they get to London, and you get the whole fish out of water sequences with her trying out the outfits and humor.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little interlude action sequence in the alleyway, and then some more talking about the war and stuff. And then she gives that cool speech to the generals. Like I felt like all that goes just fine.
Okay.
I wasn't thrown off until basically, like I said, until after they had like their little drinking and dancing and that dude singing, and from there,
that's
the pacing
definitely where
kinda
it was
weird
going
up
too
until the
fast. Maybe it's perhaps just the placement of the battle and then the juxtaposition of getting to foggy old London town and kind of chilling out for a little bit. I understand that there was always plot devices happening, but I don't know, maybe it was just the juxtaposition that threw me. I really liked all of the fucking smarmy one-liners that Diana gives as a part of the fish out of water experience. Like, there's the one in the trailer where she's explained what a secretary does by the secretary, and she says, well, where I'm from, we call that slavery. And and there were so many quick moments like that felt really good.
There was a lot of people in the theater that were like reacting to a lot of her lines, which was really cool. Like I loved all like the women laughing and fucking chiming in.
I really, really liked when they were still in paradise. And she walks in on him in the bath, and he stands up, and she asks if he was average for his sex.
An average representation of his sex.
Right. And he says, oh, above average. Like, just like that moment, like you could see on his face, he was like, oh, I'm uncomfortable.
I have to answer this question.
I have to be better than average.
Another great part I like about that scene that fits into it is he's standing there naked, and she just is looking at him, and she says, what's that? He assumes immediately that she's talking about his dick. He's like, oh man, she's going to ask me about this strange thing dangling from my... But she was just, asking about the watch. Like, his anticipations and his miss...
I totally got that, too. I was like, she's asking about, oh, okay, all right.
She knows what a dick is.
Right.
She knows what a dick is.
I had assumed, but...
I like her impassioned speeches. Ultimately, I think the movie's fine all the way up until the very end, and the end is just not very good at all.
Yeah, they I feel like they may have written themselves into a corner a little bit. Like,
I honestly
not even so much that they wrote themselves into a corner, but at some point somebody decided, okay, we're going to have your usual Hollywood set piece at this point, and instead of taking the spirit of the first two acts, it's like, okay, now we're just, we're watching a fucking action movie now, and we're going to stick to those things, like Ares making a suit of armor out of all that scrap metal, which... Why would you need to? Because they already show us that he has the ability to just wave his hand and, throw Diana across... He melts eye holes into a helmet that he makes.
To back up, before
sorry, I have problems with that.
Before he dons the armor, what did you think of his 5 minutes of watching the fight at the end of Chronicle? Because I feel like when he levitates up into the air before he puts on the armor and he's launching all the shit back and forth. I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of weird parallels to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Literally his lines are join me and together we can show them, and then he's throwing all the shit. It was like Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Too much Empire Strikes Back.
Before they set up the reveal of her being the daughter of her mother and Zeus, instead of just Zeus bringing her to life, I legitimately thought that Ares was going to be, Diane, I am your father. I legitimately thought that was where they were going. That's how, on the nose those parallels were. So I love that actor too. So I felt strange about it.
What's he in? He looks super familiar.
He's Professor Lupin.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. Okay, because the entire time I was thinking of Harry Potter musical Professor Lupin's lines, and I couldn't place. You couldn't
figure out why you were thinking.
Yeah, that it for sure was Professor Lupin. Okay. What did you think, Christina, about the last act?
I didn't have that big of a problem with it. I mean, I had a problem with the dialogue, but the action itself, I mean, I didn't think it was that bad. I was okay with him building the suit out of scrap metal and doing the whole eye hole thing. I was fine with that because, you know, when you think of Ares, you think of the fucking warlord, like huge, bulky, like metals, horns, the eye holes. Like that's what you think of when you think of that person, and I'm okay with that.
I was just surprised they didn't have him like morph into a different form or something. I feel like they were trying to compensate for the fact that they got this actor to play the role of the human that Ares is taking the form of, and then they're like, okay, but this guy really isn't that intimidating, so we need to do something about that. So how about we make him, you know, just get a suit of armor real quick? How about that? It reminds me, like my first thought was just, geez, this guy's a Reaper main. Like, it's such a fucking edgelord thing to do, and I couldn't get that imagery out of my head. And not the way that they wanted me to think of the imagery. They wanted us to see the helmet. But I saw it and was like, I can still see his little British mustachioed face under there.
Yeah, well, and the armor was like all CG.
Yes.
With like live action footage of his face underneath it, and that looked weird, like for sure. You didn't think that looked weird?
It was a little bit weird, but I was okay with it. I was not bothered by it. I just think, I mean, there was a little bit of weirdness, but I think how great the movie was for me just overshadowed any of the weirdness.
I think it suffers from like a very, very common thing in comic book movies where the final action sequence, they're trying to continuously top them all the way through.
Yeah.
And the final action sequence is just like, now we got the whole rest of the budget for CG that's left. We're going to spend all of it now. Like, and there's just so much shit happening that you don't really care about it. It's like the last fight at the end of the first Iron Man. The last fight at the end of all 3 Iron Man movies. Like, earlier fights were much better. And I think that it's because when they get to where they're just shooting CG shit at each other back and forth, there's a real loss of like, it's not very visceral, and so it feels like it doesn't have weight.
I felt similarly. I mean, they almost did for a good 5 minutes there. You were talking about the Chronicle fight, kind of parallel. Think back to Batman versus Superman and Doomsday just launching a big bubble of orange energy around him.
It's always like,
but they did that exact same thing. They changed it to silverish blue, and that's what Ares was doing.
Yes.
Like, you're just whoosh, bam, like,
and it's stupid because you have these characters that should have defined power sets.
Yes. And
when it gets to that final climactic battle, all those rules go out the window. It's like Kevin Bacon's character in X-Men First Class, where by the end of that movie, he's just making up new mutant powers on the fucking spot. Yeah. Like, what can he do? He can do whatever he fucking wants, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. But yeah, I was still okay with it.
Christina's super happy with the whole thing. Like, I think she's
loved it.
Willing to look over anything that we aren't.
Oh yeah. I mean, obsessed with that movie. So good.
Would you say that it's like the best movie ever made?
No.
Or the greatest movie ever made?
No, I wouldn't say either of those things. But I mean, it's a female superhero.
Mm-hmm.
I've needed that. You know?
Yeah.
I need a badass woman character that doesn't get overshadowed by men. I needed that.
Did you think that they succeeded in that?
Yes.
Do you think
this
is like a good movie for little girls to go see?
Yes.
I think props really need to go out to the director, Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she left the third Thor movie and then picked up Wonder Woman.
She was gonna do Thor 3?
Either Thor 2 or Thor 3. I forget which one, but she left because she had different ideas for it. And she
no, yeah, I've read that. Yeah, Thor. It was Thor 2, I think.
Yeah, and but her coming to Wonder Woman, I feel like she may have been able to recycle a few of those ideas that she wanted to do for Thor.
Yeah,
and I think the movie was all the better for it. There's rumors that she may or may not come back for the seemingly inevitable sequel, and I certainly hope she does.
Yeah.
I hope we get a better representation of the full extent of her powers. I mean, I feel like they kept saying like, you don't know what you're capable of. throughout the movie. So that's kind of like she gets stronger as the movie goes on, and I like that. But I wish she would have like hit peak Wonder Woman by the end of that final fight.
Me too.
I would have preferred her to just beat Ares into the fucking ground until dead. Like, because that's Wonder Woman. She doesn't have any qualms with killing people.
Yeah.
I mean, she did beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, but it was by, like,
She
absorbing...
used her hands at one point.
Yeah, I know. I feel like she relied on the bracers too much, and, like, that's not...
I can agree with that, but she did beat down on him, like... It was overshadowed by the bracers being weird.
But the final blow was dealt with something
that
was never even established, as you mentioned earlier. The fact that
I've
she
never
absorbed
that she can, like,
Ares' lightning and then shot it back at him.
Yeah, at a later time.
Bracers. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was just fucking weird. I thought she was gonna crush him with that fucking tank when she picked up the tank.
I wish she would have done that.
Yeah, she should fucking... Instead, she sets it on the ground next to him, and, like, my favorite poster for the movie is the one where she's sitting there holding the tank above her head. I don't know, like, in that sequence you get a much better sense of how strong she is. You know what I mean? And I think that if you had depicted them in a more hand-to-hand fight, you could have shown that a little bit. Like, akin to, like, a Dragon Ball Z fight. Like, is honestly, like, the best thing when they're, you know what I mean? When they're just trading fucking blows, like Goku and Vegeta going at it, and they're not using Kai blasts.
Yeah.
Like, something like that would have been a good representation of how fast she is and how strong she hits.
Well, to get back to your original point that you wish you would have seen, like, her realize her true power, I feel like they tried to convince us that she did, because there's that moment where she breaks for a second almost.
Yeah.
And then she starts to just tap into what she tapped into at the beginning of the movie, it seems where she started to realize her powers, and then she's fucking going super fast and dodging everything, and you know, just shattering all the projectiles that he's sending at her. And I feel like I feel like your problem might not be that she didn't realize her full powers or what have you. It's just the way that they attempted to show us that she did was not what I think would have been best.
I felt like she was too dependent on the whip and the bracers and the sword and the shield.
Yeah.
She never used her tiara once. She totally has moon tiara magic, like Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
she can throw her tiara out. So, but like, she has all these magic items. I feel like it left the impression that she needs those items. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if she didn't have her shield and bracer,
didn't get that.
She would have fucking died pretty early in the movie. But bullets, bullets can hit her. If a bullet hits her, it's gonna go through her, and it's gonna do the same damage that a bullet does to any other regular person.
Not so sure about that. Remember where she was speaking to the medical person, and Themyscira, because she did get shot in the arm.
Yeah.
Right.
And they take off the bandage.
It heals.
And it's healed.
Yes, she has super fast healing.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I was trying to get across.
But you could still theoretically, like,
just shoot her in the heart.
Yeah, and also pierce. She doesn't have any sort of heightened durability like Superman does. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like the scene in Superman Returns where the bullet hits Superman's bare eyeball and it fucking shatters away, which is a really cool fucking moment in an otherwise snooze fest of a movie. She doesn't have that. Like, that's not a part of her power set. But she is physically strong and stuff. You know, like, you can poke her with a stick and it's gonna go through her, right?
Sure, yeah.
But the whole thing is you wouldn't be able to because of how fucking fast she is.
Sure.
So, no, I feel like if she could not have crossed No Man's Land without her, that Wonder Woman that we saw could not have crossed No Man's Land without her bracers and her shield to deflect the bullets.
Well, that's actually, they made it a point to show us that
that
she needed the help of Steve Trevor and the crew to come in and give her covering fire as she was drawing their fire and just deflecting it with the shield. You're saying that comic book Wonder Woman would have just ran through that shit.
Yes, easily.
Gotcha.
She's not as fast as Superman or the Flash, but she is still faster than a bullet.
Well, they showed us that at the end of Batman versus Superman.
And she can perceive the speed of a bullet, hence her ability to deflect them.
Yeah.
She could just as easily dodge them and jump around them and shit. And then just pummel all those dudes with her bare hands.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen maybe, like, you know how he destroys the sword?
Yeah. He just puts his bare hand out and the whole thing just goes to ashes.
Yeah, like maybe he totally disarms her throughout the fight, and like I just hate that it wasn't Wonder Woman that saved the day and dealt the final blow. It was Wonder Woman's magic bracers, who can be worn by anybody. Those are just magic items that have existed before Wonder Woman.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
that makes total sense.
Saying.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you there. I just think that whole last fight was underwhelming, but I still felt that badass sense of fuck yeah, rip him apart, fucking kill him. But it just didn't happen in the way that I wanted it to. And what did you think about all of the slow-mo that was used in the movie?
There's a little too much.
I don't know where I'm falling on that yet, because they used it really well. But
okay, my thoughts on the slow-mo are that that's like ramping is the term for that, right? Like Zack Snyder with 300 like made that a thing, and that's stuck around ever since.
Yeah,
where it goes from slow to normal speed, or from normal speed to slow motion, and then back to normal speed throughout like one smooth punch or flip or kick.
It gives you a nice sense of weight, and
I feel like it slowed down at the wrong times. Okay, because again, think of like 300. He's like swinging a punch. He's coming normal speed. It slows down right before the fucking fist connects with the face. So you get to see that face crumple in slow motion.
Yeah.
And then back to normal speed as his enemy is, launched 10 feet through the air or whatever.
If that shot's in Wonder Woman, the whole lead up of her rearing back is in slow motion, and then we see the punch regularly.
Yeah.
Like it's just a punch, but she's really raising her arm back, man.
I think that it was done really well on Themyscira, though.
Yeah.
With the ladies jumping and twisting. I thought that was done really well.
They did a bunch of acrobatics that were all in slow motion.
And that was really cool, but I totally agree that, like, it's kind of weird in other
We're all
places.
talking about, like, the same sequence, right? Whenever she's clearing out the dudes in that room in Velt.
Yeah.
That she goes through, like, 2 or 3 rooms.
I mean,
That's what
I don't even know what
egregious.
happens in one of the shots. It's in the trailer, and it's just a slow motion shot of her back. And
I think she gets hit.
in some.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't see what hits her. You just see in slow motion
her back flexing, and there's some debris. And I was, every time I see it, and even last night in the movie, I thought I would finally have some context, because I've seen that trailer a few times. But I was like, what even? I feel like they just showed me that to show me Wonder Woman's back being real strong, and all of it's in slow motion. What the fuck just happened? And then it distracted me from the next 3 dudes that she killed, because I was just sitting there like, what the fuck is up with her back? Is that a Chekhov's gun? Is somebody gonna use her back later? Like,
they're just confirming that if you thought maybe her weakness was like her lumbar, it is not.
She was dipped in the river Styx by the small of her back. And that's her only weakness.
No, I think it's supposed to be like a rifle that someone like swung at her.
Yeah,
it just looks like a piece of wood to
that's,
me.
well,
But I
think,
guess a rifle at that point is just a bunch of wood with a pipe.
Right.
So
I think that's what it was supposed to imply.
I don't know. It's been bugging the shit out of me.
Did you like her just like shoulder checking the armored car?
Yes, absolutely.
And like knocking it away. And I liked that the sniper guy couldn't shoot.
Yeah.
I like that, like, this, like, she's been saving the day, and it's like, okay, we're gonna give him a moment to save the day, and then he's like, no, I can't do it. I can't shoot. I need you to continue saving the day, Wonder Woman, please.
Yeah. And then she levels the top to take out one guy. She levels the top fucking floor. And that was
she destroys an entire church to let the world know I'm God.
No, it's the symbolism was beautiful and not lost on me.
Your Christian God is nowhere to be found, but I have seen gods, and I am one.
Also, it had a nice little callback there, like when in the beginning in the Battle of Themyscira, the warrior who is their greatest warrior, Diana's aunt, yells for a shield, and I assume that she was yelling for someone to hand her a shield. But they got down in a position to allow her to vault herself off of the shield and use that to take out 3 dudes who had cover and were taking out most of the people. And then Steve Trevor, Chris Pine's character, remembers that, and he's like, okay, there's something I can do to help. Guys, we can help. She's got to do it, but we can help.
It's going to take all 4 of us guys to
do
just
this,
help her
but-
jump.
Yeah.
Now, the very end of the movie, the very end, like when it cuts back to modern day,
Yeah.
does she fly? Is she flying?
She's flying. She's
flying.
totally flying, which I accepted because it's like she's still learning. It's been almost it's been a century.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been over a century at this
It was
point.
1918, I think, is the date on the photograph.
Yeah. And so I accepted that just fine. That's like, well, of course she's going to learn new things, not only about the world, but about herself.
She does kind of fly at the end of like in that end fight scene.
There's
she totally levitates
Yes.
with Ares.
Yes.
In that like chronicle scene.
Yeah, he
totally
picks the ground up underneath her, and then she levitates
just
up above it.
Yes.
It was
So
like before going and seeing the movie, Spencer and I had this discussion because I think you didn't know she could fly. Right?
I wasn't aware. At the end of Batman vs Superman, I was aware of her fucking launching herself towards Doomsday, but I always assumed that was
like a Hulk jump.
Yeah, like
kind of
elite
thing.
tall
Okay, gotcha.
buildings in a single bound
Yeah.
before Superman could fly in Action Comics. you know?
And I was pretty sure that I knew that comic books Wonder Woman can fly, and I looked it up, and apparently it's a 1980. She can fly post 1985. They there was a reboot. Her origin story was changed a little bit.
I mean, I knew
that she could fly.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't super into Wonder Woman, but I knew that she could fly. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she also has the invisible jet. You don't know about the invisible jet. You never watched reruns.
Ladies
of,
and gentlemen,
Super Friends.
Christina's about to learn about the
Oh my
fucking
God.
goddamn invisible jet.
Do you know about this at all?
no, it's okay.
No. Hold on. I want your live reaction to this on the podcast. You need no. She needs to know.
She needs
She needs to know.
She's always crying.
Uh,
While Jeff's looking this up, the best part of the whole film for me was just this singular moment where Steve Trevor, Chris Pine's character, sees her about to do something that he perceives as reckless. And I think a lot of people came to this movie wanting to see what Christina's talking about, like a badass female superhero, the badass female superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Steve Trevor, sees her about to go off and just try to chop a motherfucker's head off in the middle of this gala dinner thing.
oh
Very
yeah.
important general. And he grabs her by the arm, as we've seen, men do 100 bajillion times. And he says, no, I can't let you do that. And then she just shakes him right off and says, what I do is not up to you, and just walks away. And then Chris Pine has this look on his face that I attribute to his acting, that just, you see it for a split second and you realize that he's never had anything said like that to him before. And
Right.
he maybe is starting to realize, maybe she's fucking right. Maybe I
Yeah.
have, and they dropped a few lines in there about, like his secretary talked about, we don't make a fuss. We use our principles. That's how we're gonna get the vote, as if it's something that should be given to them. And Diana just sees it as something like, no, that is yours. No one can
Right.
give that to you.
I
Like,
really liked when she was in with the generals, and she was like, "You guys are gonna just let your people die?"
she called them cowards to
Yeah.
their faces. The most
Yeah.
important people.
And like all of them were like, "Oh my God, you need to stop! You need to stop!" And she was
This
like,
fucking
"Fuck
lady!"
no, fuck no!" And I really, man, that really got me.
All right, so we're gonna post this up at this part of the
got-
video so you guys can see what she's reacting to.
Tons of people know what the invisible jet is. But yeah, no,
But
I'll totally.
this
If you
is a
want to
nice
actually take a
representation of
look
it.
at the YouTube video, I will post a picture just right here of the invisible jet. Christina, prior to having the ability to fly in 1985, this is how Wonder Woman got around.
Can you guess what the gimmick about the invisible jet is?
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's that it's invisible, but notice.
But you can fucking see it.
Notice that Wonder Woman. Well, I mean, it's an invisible jet, but they can't just show her sitting in the sky.
yeah,
That'd be ridiculous.
I feel like that would be less ridiculous
No.
than just the fucking lines. What the fuck is that?
They
garbage?
created a plot device that they didn't even have a way to show.
because the jet is invisible, you can still see Wonder Woman sitting down in the jet, flying through the air. Now, presumably, you can't see the white lines. That's just a way to depict the jet, even though it is invisible.
That's like steam coming off of some food. It's like, no, this is for you.
Right.
But it's still...
You shouldn't...
That's from the comics. Here's how it was in the old TV show.
No, this has gotta stop.
It's like a big... They use like a big clear plastic tube.
What? Why?
Oh my god.
And just one more. Here she is giving Aquaman a ride.
I fucking love this old ridiculous shit. Like, on the one hand, you've got Captain America knocking Hitler the fuck out. But as that's happening, Wonder Woman is traveling to assist someone in World War I by flying the invisible fucking biplane.
Here's a gif with Robin and Batman along for the ride.
Oh, no.
I don't know if she was joking or not, but Patty Jenkins was asked about the invisible jet, and she did say that, of course, that's an important part of the character's backstory, and definitely something that'll be touched on in Wonder Woman 2.
Please, God,
No.
don't.
I want it.
Let it be a
I want it.
You want it?
Yes!
You don't want her to be able... Okay, so let me get this straight. You want her to have the option to fly, but at some point, it's like we can't use Cerebro moment where she can't fly. Yep. And then it's like, well, we've got to fly.
No, here's what I want. She never has technological stuff.
So it's got to be Bruce, right?
Yeah, Bruce is like, I built you this jet so you can fly around. She's like, I can already fly. And he's like, oh, well,
I
thought you could just jump real far. I mean, I built it. It's invisible. Just try it out. And she gets in it and like activates the invisibility. And she's like, so you can't see me now, right? And you just see her like sitting, a few feet above where it's docked or whatever.
And somehow Bruce never had the thought.
Yeah, Bruce is like, shit. I can actually still see. You know what? Yeah, no, wow. I am a genius after all. Of course you're invisible. Please take the jet.
Master Bruce, do you think that's a good idea? It's fine, it'll be fine. She'll never know. Who's gonna know? Who's gonna know? She's not.
Oh
she's
my
just
God.
gonna keep on thinking she's invisible.
Alfred, I just got the team together. She's on board. Just let me have this, man.
Just let her have the jet, please.
Just let her.
Do you think that this movie is gonna have like repercussions for other movies, like for the DC universe? Do you think there'll be a change in tone?
Just because this is the first one. Now, you know that I disagree after watching it fully with the panning of Batman versus Superman. I don't think it deserves quite all the hate that it got.
No, it's a lot better film than most people.
But I feel like if it's true that the only thing that motivates like these movies being shaped one way or another is money,
yeah,
this is the only one that's already commercially successful and it's critically acclaimed as well. So if there's a single person in that boardroom or in that conference room when they're talking about screenplays for the next one or directors that they want to use, or even at the storyboarding level, like Wonder Woman has been the really only universally successful DC movie that they've come out with yet. So you either follow that lead or you continue fishing for something that works.
And now, do you think that they'll finally make Black Widow action figures?
No, they won't.
They won't?
Absolutely not. Not so long as you have to pay an extra $1 for pink goddamn razors, dude. Like,
well,
like, as long as we're having the debate, like, I mean, there's that Joss quote that gets, thrown around everywhere. That he got asked by someone, why do you write stories with such strong female characters? And the answer is because you're still asking me that fucking question. Like, the world that we live in hasn't been immediately changed by this, so I think it's gonna take Black Widow action figures. I'm sorry, it's the funniest thing. But I don't know. I think it will open some doors, but I think the people in charge want those doors to be cracked. I don't think they want to throw them open.
Yeah. At least maybe they're not actively trying to close them completely now, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I think that's maybe a better way to put it. They took the 1 foot off the bottom of the door.
Are there any other female characters that you hope to see from comics made into a movie?
Well, I can't wait for Captain Marvel. I've always been a fan of Captain Marvel, and I know that they've kind of changed the way that they're doing things. It's not in the Infinity War 1 and 2, like
Right.
Yeah. So, but Captain Marvel's right there in the middle. So
Okay.
I'm hoping that she will
Also
provide
be in part 2.
Well, not that she'll also be in part 2, but I'm hoping that the introduction of her will be a large part of what changes between those two movies. Because I imagine we're going to get the fight with Thanos once and they lose tremendously.
Yeah.
And once and they win. And the only thing that happens between those two movies is Captain Marvel. So I'm hoping that she will provide a very important place to defeating this ultimate threat of Thanos.
Christine, are there any female characters that you want now to see in a movie?
I mean, I would just, man, like I would really like a Black Widow lead, you know?
Yeah.
A solo movie for her. I would even like a Scarlet Witch. I mean, I just want
Scarlet Witch is so much more interesting.
No, I agree totally, but I feel like if all of the other Avengers, you know, get that kind of attention, she should as well.
No, I agree.
But I mean, just more superhero women. Even I'm okay with even supervillain like solo movies. You know, just more badass women, not just oh hey yeah we have this woman here because gotta appease some of the ladies. You know, and
have there been any supervillains that are women in the Marvel movies at all?
Hera's coming out. Ragnarok.
Yeah.
In Suicide Squad, doesn't Enchantress become like the bad?
Well, yeah. I was thinking just the Marvel movies first for some reason. It just dawned on me. I was like, I don't think there have ever been any supervillains. I guess they're like the Golden People in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Main one was a lady, but she's not really like the main villain.
There's I can't even think of her name.
Ronan the whole time very clearly.
The blue one, Gamora's sister.
Oh, Nebula, yeah.
She's kind of a bad.
Yeah.
A baddie,
but she's still used, like, if we're talking video game terms, she was a mini boss. Or,
Right.
Because I think Hera is going to be our first, like, main fucking badass, super evil female character. So that's cool.
Which brings me to my main point. At what point do you think we're going to see Squirrel Girl? Do you think like
I legitimately think that they are doing Squirrel Girl television show.
What do you think? Animated or no?
No, I don't think it's gonna be.
Really?
I'll look it up afterward to confirm, but I am pretty sure that is something that has been announced a while back. I am
so incredibly intrigued by Squirrel Girl.
I think it got announced at the same time that the Runaways did.
That would make sense, yeah. I knew I had heard something about it, but anytime I hear that, I just automatically think, well, that's probably not true. Like, if I were to come across that headline, I'd be like, ugh. I'm going to wait for a second source on that.
I want to see, because I also always love, like, the real weird shit. I fucking want to see Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which is a Marvel property.
I am at least aware of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, probably because of you.
Yeah.
I don't know who else would have fucking been like, hey, Spence, got something to show you.
It's called Moon Girl. No, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is fucking awesome, and I hope that we get to see that someday. I mean, we're gonna get a intelligent dinosaur with the Runaways. Hopefully, if they try to write the fucking psychic Velociraptor out, I'm gonna be done.
The Flash television show had Gorilla Grodd. All bets are off. Yeah, all bets are off.
Well, the sounds like the consensus is Wonder Woman, fucking great.
Amazing.
Pretty good, I thought.
Well, that's what I said. You're stealing my rating. Can we use that rate? Do we need a rating system?
We should add a fifth one. There should be a meh in between, because there's...
I like only having 4.
You like only having 4?
There being no middle ground. You can't be just 100% neutral. We can never be like, this is perfectly passable. So no, I think it's bad. Okay. And you gotta have the inflection. Bad. Okay.
Well,
pretty good.
You don't. Okay, so
great.
So you don't think there should be 2 negatives? Because I don't think okay is a negative.
No, that is not an okay.
When viewed on the rest of the scale, you understand that even okay is a negative. Like okay is like Iron Man 3. I guess.
I think we should replace okay with meh.
With no, I don't.
He's against it. We're not going to win.
Whenever I think of meh, I think of, oh my god, fuck this. But like,
maybe
I
we
don't
should
want
just
to
go
die.
binary. Maybe we should just go binary. What out of 1? 0 out of 1 or 1 out of 1?
Guys, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know on our 4-point scale in the comments below what you thought of this podcast.
or on the binary scale.
Or on
those
the
are the only
binary
two
scale.
scales we recognize.
0 or 1.